Oop. Good. So this week we've got a review. Now you might see that assignment there, review work groups. Now, got a bit of a pushback from other classes. And so because of that, we're not making that a mandatory thing, but it's there. And I did have some students say to me, is there anything I can do to get it extra, Well, I'm thinking, come to me if you think that you can do this, and let's talk about this presentation. Maybe there's something that we can do there. Maybe that you come to me with a proposal on that, based on that. Now, if you decided you wanted to do assignment 7 to improve your assignment grade or something like that, or your overall grade, just come and talk to me, and you'll notice that it is in groups, so you don't have to do it by yourself. So there's that. Then today we have the tutorial. Now the tutorials, actually, it's kind of a, I was kind of surprised. It was kind of a leap in trickiness, I think. And so I looked at it this morning when I came in. I thought, well, that looks kind of a bit much for our students to do, but let's see if we can have a look at that. So I am warning you on this. It is kind of a bit big. Can I download that, or I have downloaded that? That is downloaded, I guess. All right, I'll close that. No, don't do that. I just want to close this. Oh, whatever. So let's just have a quick look at that. I can hear something up here. We've got this thing, and you're supposed to calculate the grade point average, and of course it has to have like 8 different values there. Is there 8 or 9? It's crazy, man. All right, so that's like a huge if else structure that we're going to end up doing in order to get that to happen. So each course, we've got a lot of things that we got to do in this program to make this work. So in the first place, looking at the absolute endpoint is going to be a cumulative grade point average. And to be fair, I don't want you to think that this is actually the way that we do grade point average here at the university. It is sort of, but there's something missing, and that is credits. So not all courses are equal. So if you're interested in how you calculate the thing, we missed it from this little program. If we're going to make this program a bit more realistic, we should add to each when we read the course grade from the student, we should also get the number of credits. If we got the number of credits, that would be that. Then we could multiply the credits by the grade point, and then average by the total number of credits. That's the way that we would do it. Instead of what we're going to be doing is we just multiply the GPs by the number of grades and divide by the total. And so it's not quite a true grade point average, but it's for something that you try and do in one class. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's a bit of work. So what it is the idea is a student does a number of courses in one semester, and we ask the student how many courses they do in that semester. For each class that they do in that semester, we ask them to give their grade. That grade is then translated into a letter grade using this particular method, and then we can compute the GPA based on the average of all of those grades. So average, about, we kind of done average before. So average is going to be a total divided by a count. We can see in this program that you're going to have a count because we asked the student at the start, or the user, how many courses you're going to do. So that's going to be our count. We're going to get to that count. Then we get the grades. We add those to a total. So we're going to have some kind of a while loop to do that. There's a lot of other stuff though. If we look at the sample code, we see, okay, so we got to get the username, which it seems we only use once. Or do we use it again? Yes, we do use it again. All right, so that's good. We got to keep that name. So the name's going to have to go in as a variable, and it's going to be used in the print here. And then it's going to be used at the print at the end. So then we ask the user for the number of courses, and that will be used to control a loop. And then we start the loop. And the thing is that we've got some error trapping going on, because if the user enters a name which is not per specification, we actually can have an error come up. So here it is. All right, they have to have an integer for the number of courses. That's fine. So if they put a float value, I don't know if so that's, I spent half an hour before this class looking at a solution, and I probably missed that point. So I'll probably have to go back and check that. The number of courses. So we get the number of courses. Now look what happens if they put in a course number. I think we got a course. Yeah, here it is. All right, so they have to put a number in between 0 and 100. So there's an error check for that. And I think there's another error check for, yeah, the course code has to be 4 letters of the alphabet followed by 4 numbers. There's a bit going on in this. Now, to me, the only way to really solve this is going to be to break it down into modules, to functions. And I guess the trick is getting that function right. Which function is going to do what? But I mean, we can see that in the main program, we're going to have to get the person's name. We're going to have to get the number of courses, and then the rest of the stuff will probably be in functions. Now, I think on this, do I have idle on this computer? Yes, I do. Well, that's great. Because I'm going to show, well, that's kind of taking its time, isn't it? Where's idle? Did I not just try and start idle? Where are you, idle? Yeah, it's trying to start. Slow. Okay. Idle sub process didn't make connection. Oh, that's because I tried to run it twice. That's fine. All right, so we do have idle on this computer. That's nice. Now, what I did, and so rather than sit here, because this would take an hour just to write this code, to be honest. So what I've done is I've actually sort of started on that. And where would that be? That would be in the USB drive. So we can look at this code and discuss it and see what we can come up with. Maybe we can fix it because it's not complete yet. Sort of. All right, so this is kind of what I'm thinking, how you would sort of solve something like this. I see we've got a few more people here. So Frank, Isa, Rhoda, Jema, and Zahra. Welcome. And Hamid and oh, where's the other one? Hamid was here from before. So let's have a look. In the main program, so I would divide this program into parts. So I would start off with, that's pretty obvious, right? We're going to ask them their name. And so we've saved that name so that we can use it later. Now, what I'm thinking here is, right, what we have to do is we have to get, so this little function here, I broke out one part of it and I said, well, let's have a function which makes sure that the course number is correct, because it's a little bit tricky. And this is what I mean by that. So they enter the course number, but the course number, the first 4 characters of the course number, which is a string, the first 4 characters has to be alphabetic, A through Z. And the last 4 has to be numbers, 0 through 9. So how do we do that? Hopefully you'll kind of remember how we would do that. And this is how we do it. If we have a string called CNUM, we can do this. What this means is we're going to get a substring, and it's going to be from the first, you see how we put the colon there and then a 4 after the colon? What that means is start at the start of the substring, because we don't have a number there. I could have put a 0 there. But it's start at the start of the substring and go to the end, not to the end, and go to the one before 4. We don't go all the way to 4. We go to the one before 4, right? So this is going to be characters in positions 0, 1, 2, and 3, the first 4 positions. So that's going to have to be alphabetic. So this is a Boolean treatment of that string. And so what I'm saying, the first 4 characters has to be alphabetic. And then the last 4 characters, so how does that work? That says, well, we know it's going to be 8. So how do we know it's going to be 8? Because it has to be 8. I'm saying it has to be 8. Here, the len equals 8 means that it must be 8 characters long. So it must be 8 characters long. And the first 4 characters must be alphabetic, not alphanumeric. And the last 4 characters must be numeric. And so if any of those things, see all of those things are and, right? And. So that means you know by now that if you have an and in a condition, then both things on both sides must be true for the condition be true. So in this case, there's a bracket here and a bracket here, which means that this is the condition. It's a compound condition. It's a big condition. All 3 things has to be true for it to be true. And then in a little bit of twisted logic, you might say, and I hope it's not too twisted for you, but then we say, well, if all of those things are not true, then it's an error. So in other words, you only have a good course number if all of these things are true. The length of the course number is 8 characters. It's the first 4 characters are from the alphabet, and the last 4 characters are numeric. And then if they're not, if those things aren't, then we say, well, here's an error. Please put in another number and do it again. And we keep doing that. Why have I got an N on? Oh, yes. You see this, the N is because this is going to be in a loop. I had to put the N in there because this is going to be in a loop. We're going to do this so many times, course number 1, course number 2, course number 3, you'll see in the output. So we say there which course number it is. We brought that as an input, and then we return the course number to wherever this is being called from. Well, where's that being called from? So actually, yeah, I'm calling it inside this function that I call get GPA. And get GPA is basically just that's the whole program, right? So from the main, we get their name, and then we do this average. You see, get GPA, I told you, we got to calculate an average. So the average is going to always be, we start with a count, we start with a total, we add to the count, right? So here we're entering the number of courses, and that C count, that's where we run this function. This is calling this function here, which is getting the right course number, all right? And if it's not a right course number, it'll do it again until it is. And then what we do is we get the grade for that course number, and we go into this huge if-elif. Now, why do we have to do that so many times? Well, if the grade is bigger than 100 or it's less than 0, then it's an error. You can only have a grade between 100 and 0. I guess I put it. And so we're going to do an error trap there, which just says, it's all right, you just have to keep entering the grade. But once we got a good grade, then we're going to do this big elif. Now, how elif works, I hope you're familiar with this. Is it blowing your mind? Okay, when I saw this half an hour before class, and I'm like, it's going to blow the student's mind, right? And I didn't even feel like sort of doing it up here in front of you. It's just going to be too sort of freaky. So I started on it before the class, and I did I did test this, and this is kind of working, but I'm not sure. And I think we have to go back and fix it a bit. So I'm just trying to explain to you how you could do this, right? So the if-elif, hopefully you know by now, whenever you see an if-elif, one only of these things is going to be the result. That's the way if-elif-else works. One is true, the rest are false. That's how it works. If none of the ones above the only way we get to else is if everything above it is false, right? So as soon as one of these things is true, we're out. And those things are effective. Now, problem is we're doing this inside a function. And so inside a function, we can only return one value. That's okay, because we're going to do our printing inside the function. So we print here, what is their letter grade? Now that's the thing about the letter grade. We have to print stars. I mean, I don't know who made this thing and thought you guys were going to do it. It's a bit tricky. So depending on the grade, if the grade is the GPA is 1, you're going to get 1 star. If it's 2, you're going to get 3 stars. So, but the thing is, the GPA is going to be a float. So what I thought you could do there is, well, let's take that GPA grade, we'll change it from a float to an integer, and what that'll do is get rid of the decimal part of it. Then we just got a number, and we can use that as our counter. Oh, that's not quite right, is it? We did that. So while s is less, we need to increment s. It's a good thing I looked at that. So this would be an unending loop. So yeah, what will happen there is we'll just print a number of stars. Now, printing a number of stars, we use this little tricky thing in printing. You've seen this little tricky thing in printing where we say, this will keep it all on the same line. And that end equals quotes. There's nothing in between the quotes. There's no space or anything like that. So it'll print star after star after star. If I've done this right, to be honest, as I said, I did this I looked at this half hour before class and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm kind of hoping this will work, but we'll see. So how I think this is going to work, it's going to ask them for the name. The program's not finished yet, because as I said, I started this half hour before class. So I'm going to go with you and you're going to help me finish it. All right. Inshallah, we'll be able to do that in the next few minutes. So what I've got is I've got 2 functions here, one which gets a good course number. So we keep asking them to enter a number of course numbers, and one which converts the grade to a letter grade. I think we can use that again at the end. But so our program starts here, and we're going to return that. And I guess we're going to print that letter grade. Yeah, we will. But well, let's do that. We could put their name, which is C name or something like that. Where do we have their S name? And then we do your GPA is. So let's see, because I should be returning, this is returning the total of the count. Let's see if this will work. Get the name, welcome them, and then run this big function, which calls 2 other functions, one which gets the correct course number and one which calculates the grade. And from the grade, we take each grade as it comes from that function. We add it to a total, and then at the end, we can get the average. Hopefully that'll work. Let's see. So we'll call this tutorial 7, right? Okay, so straight up, I've got an unexpected end of file, and I don't feel too bad about that because it's right at the end of the program. It's the last thing that I did. I just didn't close my print statement. Run it again. All right, so we enter the name. I'll just put my own name because I'm tired. I can't think of anything else. Number of courses. Let's say we're going to do 2 courses. Course code. Let's do a bad course code, and then it should tell us that we've got to. So the course number is wrong. So what are we going to do about that? So okay. So we see our errors and we fix our errors as we go. Course number. What I think I've got there is I've actually, instead of doing a count, I should have put a count in there, but I did the course number. So let's fix that in a minute. But anyways, let's put a number. And overall grade. And your letter grade. Okay, and then so this should be on a new line. So that's kind of bad. So we got a couple of things to fix here, right? So first off, we got the number count wrong, and then we've got to put things on a new line. So when we do the enter new So yeah, we'll get that. Okay, so another course. And the overall grade, let's see. Okay, so we do have a problem here. Must be a string, not a float. Okay, so that wanted to print it out. We can see our little errors. Now this one is the first one I'll fix because that was kind of a lame mistake. We obviously you can't print a float with a plus onto a thing, so that, but it looked like it wanted to work, right? Enter the number of courses. Now the thing is, what is the overall grade in CNUM? CNUM, yeah, okay. Count plus one, C count. Now this shouldn't be C count, this should be count. That's why we're having those strange values. And when I look at that course num, yeah, we might actually have to add a 1 to that. Let's see. So we run it again. Now the other thing was, oh yes, the input. What was the overall grade in? So here we could put a new line because that was missing in the other one. Anyway, so as I said, you see, you fix problems as they come up, right? We had some problems there. So again, we're going to do 2 courses. Course number 0. Yeah, so we do need, so now we got the course numbers right. Okay, so in computing, we start with number 0. When we'll go back and we'll change the print to say +1, right? So and overall grade. Sorry about this. I can't see. Do I have, if I make it? Yeah, there we go. Enter the course code. Again, this isn't working. And it's the course code. That's where I'm missing. Yeah, I put a new line here. I didn't need the new line there. I need the new line here where it says enter the course code. Or I need a new line at the end of this. Your letter grade. I need a new line at the end of that. So I got to go back and undo that new line and put 1 in front of there. So course code. And okay, so it worked out a GPA based on that. And it gave me a mark for each course. That was a C apparently. Well, that's mean, isn't it? 80%, it's a C. Okay, so the letter grade, what I actually need to do is I need to put a new line at the end of the while statement. That I'm going to go back and remove the new line that I put in there because it was in the wrong place. I don't need a new line there. I need a new line at the end of printing the stars. Well, the end of printing the stars is here. So I could print a new line there. Good if I have my glasses so I can see. So I think you guys are okay with printing a new line, I hope. Print a new line, just /n, that prints a new line. So let's run it again. Name. 2 courses. We're just making it small. Oh yes, again, I need to go back and change that number in the print, right? Course code. And so that's a C with only 2 stars. Oh, that's kind of mean, isn't it? Oh, well, that's what it is. And this one is, and give a better grade there. And that's an A, and your GPA is, yeah. So what's missing from this program at the moment is, and it's kind of Well, so this should have a space in it. There's our get name. Okay, so we need to do the number thing. We need to fix the number. Oh, where was the number? Your letter grade in that. What is your overall grade in? Okay, count. Yeah, count +1. That's fine because it doesn't affect the count. Yeah, that'll work. Because when I call this function course num is going to take that number, it's going to print it. All right, so what else do we need to fix on this? Well, the other thing that we need to fix is we actually need to fix this. We need to get this number of stars from their GPA. I mean, we got the average GPA, but we have to do this thing. So I think what we can do is we can feed in GPA as if it were a grade, and we can feed in where C is the course number, right? Where is it the count? There's grade. Did I use C at all? Yeah, there it is. Yes. So we're going to feed in to C. C is and I think this will work. We just got one more thing to do, which is to call this function, because it prints it out, doesn't it? Letter grade, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, that's going to work perfect. So I'm going to call this function again, which is letter grade, at the end of the program. And does it return a value? Yes, it does. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to print the letter grade on a separate line. So it'll end up being printed twice. Well, actually, what we could do is we could do this one without that. Yeah, that's fine. We're going to print it twice, the letter grade, and we're going to pass to it the words overall GPA, we'll see how this works. And then the other thing was the grade, which is this value here that came from that. Oh, grade actually comes out of this. So this is kind of getting I wonder what would happen if I just did that. Just put a number. No, you have to pass in the number. You have to pass in the number. And so that's the problem, is that I have to pass in that grade, and the grade, yeah, grade is already got from here. That's the total count. Oh, no. Yay. So just to make it work, what we're going to do is we're going to say, we'll return that like that, and then we'll print it. And then we're going to have it here. So, yeah, I mean, I am a bit sorry because you can see there's a bit of hassling around with this, right? We end up with 3 functions. Now, hopefully this function looks kind of big, but really there's not really a lot going on in there. All we do is we do an error check, and then we convert a number to a grade. and then we print some stars based on the number. And that's all we do. And then we return a number. And that's, yeah, let's run it and see. I'm not sure that this is going to work because that's going to try and print that number. Yeah, let's try it. Yeah, let's go. Only going to do 2. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Your overall is F and 0. Oops. And so we didn't get any stars printed. So this didn't work overall. GPA. So GPA, what came out of there? Oh, because the grade, we don't type in the grade. Why? Because we got GP, what we passed in here was the number 4, and the number 4 is then converted to a GPA. Well, 4 is, less than 60. So that's why we got an F. All right. So it's just too much trouble. What we'd have to do is we'd have to write a new function to at this point where we're getting the grade number in. I don't know. I just want to print that star thing. I wanted to take a shortcut on the letter grade and reuse the letter grade function, but that's not working. I could write another function just for the stars. Well, we have the GPA. Yeah. Okay. We could just do it with the while loop like we did up here. All we need is this. That's all we need. Yeah. So, okay, let's just do that. So exactly as it is above there, while. Now what it is, all right, yeah. So again, we're going to have a counter, count for C equals 0, while C is less than the whatever it is, the integer value of the GPA that we've calculated here. While it's less than that, we print a star. Easy peasy Japanese. So I think that will work. The problem is, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. So I'm going to copy that and put that in our print and S+1, print that. And that's kind of it. So here we have to add that N thing. Probably going to have a space there. I think that might work. So all that hassling around there at the end, it won't be S added to 1, it'll be C. All that hassle at the end is just so we can get the stars at the end, because it did want to have the stars. That probably should be in a function, but I'm kind of functioned out. We've done a lot of functions here. Didn't like that. While what is less than GPA? While C is less than GPA. We kind of, as I said, I'm kind of functioned out on this. So let's see. I think we got it. 2 courses, course code for number 1, INFS1101. And what is your overall grade? Yeah, let's be big grades. And then for number 2, INFS 1201, and again, a nice big grade. And GPA is only 2. Still, oh gosh. Oh, yeah, because I said my grade was 6.5. Yeah, I agree. That probably is working. Let's try it again. If you have a grade of 6.5, I thought I was typing 96.5, but I got 6.5. And 2. I'm only gonna do 2 because I don't like typing all this stuff out all the time. And number 2, make sure I actually type the 9 first. Oh, course code. And the overall grade. This time type a 9, not a 0. Ooh, 9.5. Ooh. And a GPA of 4. So I'm happy with that. I think it's working. There's some tidying up we can do with the print, but I think it more or less does what it's supposed to do. All right, so let's have a look at it so you can all see, and I shall try and explain it, and hopefully we'll get the idea. So how this program would work, I believe. All right, so the program starts here. We ask them for their name. That's easy enough. We get their name because we're going to use that name more than once. We use it to print the welcome, and at the end of the program, we use it again to print their GPA. Okay, so we use it twice. After we've got their name, we've got this huge, big, sorry about that. We got this huge, big function that does all this stuff. And here it is here. Well, you might look at that and you might say, well, that's not so huge. Well, yeah, it's not, except that it calls two other functions, right? So it calls the course number function and it calls the letter grade function. So what does this do? The GPA, it gets your average, right? So if you look at that, hopefully when you look at the get GPA, you can see an average. Can you see that? You see an average function. So what it's doing is it starts with a count of 0, starts with a total of 0, and then it gets the numbers as it goes, and it adds those numbers to the total, and it adds to the count. And at the end, it divides the total by the count. That's the average. So it's returning the average. So your GPA, this is actually an average. Okay, everybody okay with that? So then the only thing is, well, what happens inside there? Well, first, we get the course number. They asked us to do the course number, but the trick about the course number is it had a couple of things in it, right? It had to be, first 4 characters had to be letters of the alphabet, last 4 characters had to be numbers. And so therefore it had to be 8 characters long. So I would do a condition like this, which is it has to be all of these things, 8 characters long, has to be alpha. The first 4 characters has to be alpha, last 4 characters has to be numbers. And if it's not all of those things, must be all of those things, not just one of those things, it must be all of those things. That's why they're joined with ands. And if it's not all of those things, then you print an error and you tell them to do it again. So this is an error trap while statement, which we've done a lot of. Error trap while statement. You can't, the user is trapped in that while statement until they put a good code. And then that good code is returned. So the n that is passed in is the course number, which is the thing that's in the loop. Is it course number 1, course number 2, course number 3. And so that at the end of this point